Good evening. Police in the West Midlands have begun a crackdown on motorists who misuse the motorway hard shoulder. Figures released today reveal more than 700 drivers a day are breaking the law on the hard shoulders around Birmingham. From September, drivers will receive warnings, but repeat offenders could face fines or penalty points. Joanne Riddle reports.
Drivers flout the law by pulling onto the hard shoulder of the M6.
We can clearly see a red X, and we've got a number of vehicles who are using the hard shoulder.
We're filming from the back of a police car as officers and the Highways Agency clamp down.
I accept your apology and your understanding or apparent confusion around the system is why we're doing a campaign at the moment, working with the Highways Agency.
In the West Midlands, the Highways Agency opens the hard shoulder on sections of the M6 and M42 in times of congestion. But hundreds of drivers are using it when it's not open too. So, is it working?
I certainly believe it is working, but we equally appreciate that there is a degree of a lack of awareness and you know, some would say confusion.
So what do drivers think?
It's quite easy to understand. The signs above the road are quite clear.
Did you use the hard shoulder?
No, we haven't done. No, we didn't want to because we didn't know whether we could or couldn't.
Research say police proves the system is successful.
People are arriving at work and where they need to be on time, and at the same time we've seen significant reductions in casualties and people killed or seriously injured.
Last year, 8,500 motorists also stopped on the hard shoulder unnecessarily.
Some of the excuses drivers have given for stopping on the hard shoulder are staggering. One driver said he'd realised his car insurance policy was up for renewal and he was ringing around to get insurance quotes. Another had stopped to pick flowers, and a third driver said he'd stopped to take pictures of his newborn grandchild in his open-topped sports car.
Police followed this driver off the motorway to explain that he'd fallen foul of regulations. Repeat offenders could face a £60 fine and 3 penalty points. Joanne Riddle, BBC Midlands Today.
Joining us now is Peter Rodger, a former police traffic inspector and the head of driving standards at the Institute of Advanced Motorists. Good evening to you, Mr. Rodger. Do you welcome this crackdown?
Yes, I do. The hard shoulder is not a good place to spend any time. It's a fairly dangerous spot. And just getting people off the hard shoulder and off the motorway if they need to stop is a good thing.
Yeah, but some drivers have argued it can be confusing to know when they can and can't drive along the hard shoulder. I mean, do you sympathise with that? Do you understand that?
If people don't understand it, then people don't understand it, and we need to simply accept that and do a better job of explaining it to them. It is quite simple. If the signs say you can drive along it, then you can drive along it, and if the signs don't say that, then it's an emergency place of, you know, a place of safety in an emergency. But that's all it's ever going to be. The less time you're there, the better.
I think some people wonder whether those signs, you know, people are actually on them and operating them and whether they're actually appropriate. I've sometimes thought on the motorway, is that sign an old one that shouldn't be still up?
There is a need for strong discipline in the people who are operating it and to make sure they turn them off when they're not needed, and I sympathise with your point of view there. I have that thought sometimes as well, but at the end of the day, if the sign says you can drive there, you can, and if it's not saying that, then just don't go there unless you are in real terms you need to stop right now. It's a risky place to be. 1 in 16 deaths on our 16% of deaths on the motorway are pedestrians. And when you consider how few pedestrians there actually are, it gives you some idea of how dodgy a place that is.
Peter Rodger, thank you very much for joining us this evening. A care centre